I've been teaching people about React for a pretty long time, and one of the most common questions that I get is, how do I learn React quickly? There's only one answer to that question. You have to write code, and you have to work on projects. That's how you learn React as fast as possible. So that's exactly what we're going to do inside this course. We're going to work on a series of different projects that are going to get more and more challenging over time. And we're going to start this all in this video by building an entire language translation app. This is going to be a lot of work, so let's just dive in immediately. I first want to help you understand what we're going to make. We're going to make a very small React application that is going to translate some English text into another language. So whenever a user comes to our React app, they're going to see a text input up here at the top of the screen. And a user is going to enter some text into that input. So they might enter in something like, "Hi, how are you?" The user will then select a language to translate that text into. Let's imagine that a user clicks on this button right here that says Spanish with the intent of translating "Hi, how are you?" into Spanish. We're then going to do that translation and then show the output down here at the bottom of the screen. So the translation would be something like, "Hola, ¿cómo estás?" And that's it. Naturally, if a user changes the text up there, or they select a different language, we will update the output down here at the bottom as well. So that's what we're going to try to make. Now for this very first project, just to avoid a lot of complicated setup issues that take a lot of time and are sometimes frustrating, we're going to use an online code editor. I've already put together a little template for us to use that has a little bit of heavy duty stuff implemented. So in other words, I already put together the actual translation stuff for us. You could find this template that we're going to use to build this app at the link you see right here. So I would encourage you to open up another browser window on your computer and navigate to that link right away. Just so you know, this is the only project where we're going to be using an online editor. Every other project is going to be created on your computer, and we're going to build just about everything else from scratch. So this is just really a quick demo project, just to get us a taste of React. Before we start writing any code, one last thing really quickly. If you get stuck along this application, totally fine. I've got a completed version of the app at the link you see right here. So if you start getting any errors, just go take a look at the completed version of the app, totally fine. Okay, so again, last chance, get that link right there, open it inside your browser. Once you do so, you should see a page that looks like this. On the left-hand side, you'll see a File and Folder Explorer. There are a couple of files and folders I've already created for us. Make sure you open the src folder and open up the app.js file. So you should see something like this right here. There's already a little bit of code inside there, so that's the code I wrote for us. On the right-hand side, you'll see a preview of our React application. At present, our React app is generating the text "Hi there" and displaying it on the screen. That's it. If you want to, you can find the text "Hi there" inside this app.js file, and you can change it to something else, maybe something like, "Here is a React app." And you'll notice that the text on the right-hand side is updated automatically. So whenever we make a change to the React application, we'll see the update immediately occur on the right-hand side. Okay, so let's start writing some code to implement our app. Just so you know, in this video, we're going to write out all the code with really no explanation. We're then going to come back in the next video and dissect every single line step by step. So for right now, just a lot of code writing very quickly. To get started, inside of this app function, I'm going to add in a couple of empty lines, and then I'm going to add in const square brackets. Inside those square brackets, we'll put in language and set language. I'll close the square bracket, then put in an equals useState. I'm going to call it like a function and put in a string of ES. On the next line down, I'm going to write out another line of code that looks very similar. So const square brackets, text, and set text equals useState. And this time I'll pass in an empty string. Now right away, make sure that you've got the exact same spelling as I, and make sure you've got the same capitalization as well. So it's lowercase use, uppercase S for state. If you have any different capitalization, you're probably going to end up getting an error. Next up, at the bottom of this function, you'll notice what appears to be some HTML. It's not quite HTML. We'll go over what it is in just a moment. But for right now, we're going to delete the h3 that's inside that div and replace it with a couple of new elements. I'm going to first add in field, then languages, then a lowercase hr, and finally, translate. As soon as I add that stuff in, you'll notice that we start to get some relevant aspects of our app start to appear. So I see the text input, I see select language, and output down here. But if I start to, say, click on a language, I'll see a big error message start to appear. So even though we've got the correct text on the screen, we don't really have the right behavior just yet. By the way, if you do get that error message, you can always close it by clicking on the X on the top right-hand side. So we need to add in a little bit more code here. First, I'm going to find field, and we're going to pass in some options to it. We'll say on change equals curly braces, set text, language equals curly braces language on the languages element right here. And then right after that, we'll also put in on language change equals curly brace set language. And then finally on translate down here at the bottom, we'll put in text equals text and language equals language. Once again, I encourage you to double check your spelling and double check your capitalization. Also note that these are all curly braces. They are not regular parentheses. All right, so now, if we look at the preview window and we enter in some text up here, like, hi there, I then start to see some output up here at the bottom. I can click on other languages, and the translation is updated to the appropriate language. Last thing we need to take care of, though, is a little bit of styling. This app really doesn't look very good right now. So to add in some styling, I'm going to go to the top of the app.js file, so very first line up here, and add in import./styles.css. And as soon as I add in that line, we start to see a pretty good result up here. So now we can start to, once again, change the text in here, something like, how are you? Go to Arabic, French, Hindi, and so on. So I would say this looks pretty good. We've got a working translation app. But we also wrote out a lot of code along the way that is quite mysterious. So let's come back the next video and start to break down this app line by line and try to figure out what is going on here.